You. So my name is Karina Jaffe, and I have been in the industry for interior design and architecture for about 5 years. And like maybe some of you, I had some experience while I was in high school. So I went to Oviedo High School, and they had a really great 4-year program there where I was able to actually get some credits that I could use for college. And so with that, I'm going to ask some of you what kind of careers you guys are interested in as I kind of continue through the presentation. So what careers are you guys most focused on?
Danielle? Danielle says computer engineering.
All right, computer engineering. So a lot of the technical drawing experience that I have is also compatible for, engineering, as well as some other careers, which I'll kind of dig into as I go through the presentation. So hopefully this will be of worth for you guys, and I'll try to go through with my experience and give you some tips and tricks and some fun things to see if you guys don't have experience with some technical drawing programs. Maybe you guys would want to test them out. Do any of you have any experience with any type of technical drawing programs?
Does anyone have experience with any technical drawing program? What have you used, sir?
I was in a summer engineering program, and we designed stuff on the computer and stuff.
Do you remember what software did you use?
Oh, no.
He doesn't remember the software, but he was in a summer engineering program.
Okay, very good. So when I kind of go through this, there are some different technical drawing programs that I utilize for interior design and architecture. A lot of them, like I mentioned, can be used for engineering, as well as some other various kind of different compatible careers. So hopefully I'll be able to shed some light for you guys, and feel free to ask questions as I go through. I know it's early this morning, so bear with me, and then maybe in the end we can go through some more questions and answers too that you guys might have. So beyond the 4 years within Oviedo High School of design experience, I went to Seminole State College, which they had their bachelor's degree in interior design. They have a lot of other programs there and a direct connect to UCF. So you could always do, your first 2 years with a school like that, do a direct connect to UCF. And for those that are interested in master's programs, they have a direct connect to UF and some other various schools. Do you guys have any particular colleges that you guys are interested in for these careers?
And any particular colleges you're interested in?
New York University. UCF?
New York University, UCF? Polytech?
Very good.
Harvard.
Which one? Oh, ignore him. Keep going.
All right, very good. So we know that UCF is definitely highly known for their engineering programs. I'm not sure about New York, but I'm sure that they have some very elaborate and great programs as well. I just heard that UCF a few years ago now has an architecture program, so just different things to keep in mind as I kind of go through the presentation with you guys and how you can kind of utilize it in picking a career. I definitely would recommend, in my experience, is even in high school, I had the opportunity to do some job shadowing, and that was really great because I think I was at a point where I wasn't sure what sector I wanted to go into as far as doing technical drawings. But once I was able to job shadow and kind of figure out between doing hospitality internships and commercial internships, interior design internships, I definitely was able to narrow down and figure out what I love most without having to already get into a degree that maybe I wouldn't like. So I would highly recommend job shadowing or internships and go from there. So what I use on a technical basis is AutoCAD, as well as some other 3D programs I'll show you examples of. Mainly what I'm doing the technical drawings for is going to be space planning in commercial or residential design, which is morely focused on residential design. So that could be anywhere from floor plans, electrical plans, plumbing plans, even lighting plans, custom tile drawings. So for example, in a bathroom with intricate details, even custom furniture and upholstery. So really the sky is the limit with a lot of these programs. And just trying to figure out what program is best for the career you're in. a lot of times you can decide and can't decide. So while you're a student, you have the capability to see what you like, and maybe while you get into your career, those companies will kind of tell you what they like to utilize best for their programs to share with clients. So I'm going to keep going here. So my personal drawing experience, as I mentioned, is mainly with AutoCAD, which is what I'm going to mainly show to you guys today. It's a very detail-oriented program, which a lot of people will say, but I would just say to keep in mind that, you know, have an open mind to it and try it out yourself. I think that that was something that I had to do too, to get used to the program, and now I absolutely love it because it makes my life a lot easier. I would say that AutoCAD has been around for over 35 years, so its reputation has been built up super high, and that's why all these years later, even with newer programs, that a lot of different companies are still using it because it's so compatible with even newer programs that are out as well. So AutoCAD is mainly used in design, architecture, engineering. That includes map analyzing and planning companies. And, you know, keep in mind that, like, for designers, the average salary is probably going to be around $65,000 and up, depending on if the designer becomes licensed, which requires a bachelor's degree and then 2 years under a licensed professional. So you have the option to kind of grow in your career, which is nice if you decide to go that route. When you're licensed, it allows you to do commercial jobs, so you know you're meeting standard building codes and things like that. So then once you kind of jump into engineering, the median can be 75,000 and up, depending on your experience, to 85, and architecture is very close to that, probably around 75 as well and up, based on experience, with 2 to 5 years. And then, you know, you can become directors and get experience from there. So AutoCAD has some 3D capabilities. I'm not sure, you know, what kind of programs you guys have used, if it's just 2D, like more flat, or if you've got some 3D, more realistic programs, which are super fun and neat to work with. AutoCAD's 3D capabilities are a little bit more simple compared to complex programs. And a lot of what I do is going to be 2D in AutoCAD that I'll show you. And then I use some different 3D programs, which, with that being said, I think it's super important to not just learn one program and be stuck on that. It's been really nice to be able to learn more than one program, and then I can decide what program I feel is best suitable for a certain project. Maybe one that will be more fun, help with more sales and marketing on a project. And I'll show you some of that here. So AutoCAD versus SolidWorks. SolidWorks is a program that incorporates a lot more 3D and awesome simulation designs that allow you to do prototypes, whereas AutoCAD doesn't have those simulations. So if you're wanting to do something with oil, gas, and energy, with engineering, robotics, or anything like that, SolidWorks is a really cool program to work in. I know you guys can probably see any of this or some examples also on YouTube in video format, which is just neat to see how you can start from beginning all the way to the end with some of these projects. The good thing about AutoCAD right now is you can use it with Windows and Mac, whereas SolidWorks, you are a little bit more limited. You can't use Mac as of right now, and maybe there'll be some changes with that in the near future. With AutoCAD, though, for anyone interested in electrical engineering, they have a lot more capabilities with that than SolidWorks, which will just allow you to bring in like sheet metal design tools and kind of work from there. So with SolidWorks that you're seeing on the right-hand side, if anyone wants to go into automotive, aerospace, different aspects of engineering and design, you might actually in your career end up using SolidWorks. So this basically, the chart, just AutoCAD versus SolidWorks, just kind of gives you that comparison of basically what I was just breaking down for you. AutoCAD is very neat in the fact that for students, they allow you to get like a free licensing temporarily while you're a student. So you could download it on your own computer and test some things out, which is the best way to do it, because when I was in class doing, you know, AutoCAD classes for 4 hours at a time, At times you have to be very patient. It's not the most exciting. So at home, you can test around, kind of figure out what you like in the program. Makes it a lot more fun and makes you actually want to learn more and utilize the program for different projects. SolidWorks, on the other hand, doesn't offer any free student licensing. So unless it was provided by the school or within your career, it would be a little bit more difficult to utilize and test out unless you're paying for the program.
Sorry, I think that, I don't know if I'm looking at Amanda's screen or we're looking at your screen, because it's like one screen on a desktop. Okay, perfect. Now I can see it bigger.
Oh,
Thank
okay. Is that work?
Yes.
A little bit better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
All right, here, let me try to make it a little bit larger for you. Does that work?
It's getting better.
Let's see here.
Okay, that looks better.
That's okay? Yeah, absolutely. All right. So going into Autodesk, AutoCAD in general has a really neat program, which is Sketchbook. So for some of you, I don't know if you like sketching, hand sketching, this is a fun part because it's more conceptual. You can start out with something like on the left-hand side, if someone's doing, for example, architecture, and they're wanting to do something real quick by hand within the program that looks a little bit more professional to bring into a presentation, this is a super fun option. You can also render it. You can kind of see the coloring tools on the side if you want it to have like more of a colored sketch look. And then on the right-hand side can just show you some more like custom pieces if it's furniture or more of the interior design aspect with shading and all that you could do by hand. But again, a little bit more of that professional touch to it, which is pretty cool. And then also you've got 3D capabilities. So I know one of you mentioned that you did, a program, you couldn't remember which one it was. I don't know if that focused at all on 3D, but within AutoCAD, you do have that option. So with 3D Max, you can kind of see on the left-hand side, it's not as great as a sharp image. Then once it's fully rendered, where they add in lighting on the right-hand side, it almost looks like a real-life photograph, when in fact, it just is a matter of the engineering side, architecture, design, and how the rendering tools kind of pull through. So sometimes it's kind of funny because we have to look and be like, is this a photograph or is this just a rendering? So that's when you know the programs are doing super well. And this isn't even a very advanced 3D option. It goes a little bit out of the drawing aspect, but I just wanted to mention it so you guys kind of know what programs are out there, which could be comparable to Revit, or I don't know if you've heard of Google SketchUp, which Google SketchUp, have any of you heard of that program?
No. Nope.
Nope. So that one's also another fun one to maybe look up on YouTube. It's a little bit more exciting than what meets the eye. So when you're playing in there, you can really decide how you want to utilize it. I kind of recommend, because that's also another free program that you can download. That's super, super neat and be able to utilize for all different aspects, design, architecture, and so on. So just some tips and tricks within the programs. I know you guys haven't used them, but just a little bit of a breakdown if anyone was interested in kind of doing a trial or testing any of them out, since AutoCAD is one of the free downloads. It's kind of neat. There's a bunch of shortcuts. When you go into a file, you can create a template for yourself. So if you know the units and measure, or maybe the color background you want to use, you can kind of decide and make it more personal for yourself. So every time you're going into the drawing, you already have all of these settings that are predetermined based on what you wanted. That can include font size, maybe dimension details, and all that would be included in your drawings. There is in AutoCAD something that people kind of laugh about, because it is known for sometimes crashing in some other technical programs just because they're such large file formats. So there is a tool that's RE, which is known as Regenerate, And typically when you do that, it will completely regenerate the file and resolve any glitches or issues while you're in it, just in a click of a button, which happens almost instantly and definitely makes our life a lot easier. So just a little thing to remember, just in case you guys ever tested something like this out. And then some more neat things within the programs. Most of them that are 2D are going to work within layers. So if you had, for example, you're doing your walls to an architectural structure, and then you have your plumbing fixtures, and then you have your lighting fixtures. These will fall on different, what we call layers within the blocks. And those layers you can decide to turn on and off, which is, again, super cool because I can have a floor plan layout with walls and furniture and lighting, and I can shut off the furniture and just keep maybe the electrical components, and then I have an electrical drawing. So within one drawing, I can turn off layers and have 5 different drawings in one. That's super user-friendly. It makes your life a whole lot easier. So if you guys decided to go into the industry, there's definitely a lot of shortcuts that you guys can do. And you can create your own blocks, which doesn't sound that exciting, but it is really cool. I do it all the time. You know, with interior design, I have a lot, even architecture. I have a lot of customized options where basically no 2 projects are the same, which is another reason why I really love what I do. And with the blocks, I can completely customize for custom furniture to custom vanities and so on. So before I go into this, I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit why I love interior design and how it'll make sense when I go through the rest of this program, as well as interior architecture. And that's because you have to think about it as you're kind of bringing your own designs to life. So maybe it's, you know, the construction of a building and the design of the interior. Perhaps it's an educational facility, or maybe it's even a hotel for hospitality. And you get to actually go and visit those spaces, or realize that people are able to go there like yourselves and enjoy these spaces and make a difference, or build memories, or have a good time and have fun. And then being able to work hand in hand with a client. So if you're kind of like a people person, or you like to work well with people in a group setting, it's really awesome because you can start on a project with a client, kind of take their hand from the beginning, conceptual phase, all the way to seeing something completely come to life, from just paper to actuality. So that's a little bit why I love what I do. You know, there's never a dull moment. No 2 projects are the same. So you're constantly learning and evolving, which is very, very neat. So in AutoCAD, which is kind of shown on the screen here, when you're doing elevations, which is 2D, for example, what you're looking at would be like the top one, we're looking at a whole vanity wall in a master bathroom. So this elevation doesn't have dimensions, but if it did, that would be the form for maybe a cabinet installer to know how to custom make this item, which that would be what I would show them on the top. Whereas on the bottom, you can see I brought in like a lighting image. I kind of hatched or rendered with a little bit of like a gray paint color. So that would be what I would show the client to help more of the marketing and sales aspect to sell the job. Since the top one doesn't look as interesting, you know, it's mainly for construction and installation purposes. That's my favorite tool within most of these technical drawing programs, and it's called the rendering or hatch tool. Kind of brings a dull, like 2D line drawing of black and white, a little bit more to life and more realistic. Since the people that aren't really in this industry, it's kind of hard for them to visualize some of these things. So being able for them to see that kind of makes it seem like, okay, I can visualize that in my space and be able to make a decision, or maybe even changes. You know, you get people who like it or don't like it. So for me, I use this all the time. I have some other examples with a little bit more color that can show you how fun it can get. So this is a floor plan of a children's oncology hospital. They wanted to make it super fun, so something that would incorporate the undersea life, where they brought in like actual fish tanks and things like that. This floor plan has those planned hatching and rendering tools. So you can see there's some textures, patterns, even gradient where it's light to dark in color. And that's really just trying to show the client how interesting and how fun you can get with these projects. This one in particular was really neat. The flooring is like a special vinyl material that's antimicrobial, and they can custom cut it. So if you wanted, for example, dolphins, starfish, I mean, you name it, anything you want to do, waves, they can completely customize, a little bit make something like a doll project a little bit more exciting, especially for the kids of a hospital. So again, you've got a lot of options within the programs that you're using. These are elevations from that project. And another cool tip that I kind of recommend if you were to use these programs is to insert the scaled people that are blocks, because you're able to see a balance of, like, if yourself was in the space, you know, maybe how high the ceilings are or how large the space is, and how many people could kind of fit in that area. And then you can see here the gradient tool was used to be able to show dimension a little bit, where light and dark kind of maybe some of the shadows would fall. And then also in this, I brought in here an actual image, which is neat with most of these programs. You can bring in images and be able to kind of complete a particular look that you're trying to sell, of course, if you're already in your career, or maybe just show for a school project. All right, so moving on, I use a lot of these technical drawings for ease of space planning. So if any of you guys like puzzles and kind of works parts and pieces and space planning with even some video gaming and different things like that, this is kind of neat. It's similar. I can, for example, in this one, I have two of the exact same wall plan layouts, but in each one, they're completely different in how I've laid things out. So I can show a client, you know, you have this huge closet space, perhaps a smaller shower, but you've got a freestanding tub. And in this one, you've got a lot more cabinetry space. And this one's kind of cool. It has like the tub in the shower, what they call like a wet bath. So there's a lot of different things. I love in AutoCAD, you can move things around like blocks, parts and pieces like puzzles, and easily be able to see what kind of works, parts and pieces, which goes a little bit into the engineering side with how things fit together and with some of the other programs that you would be able to use it for. So, does anyone have any questions so far before I keep going? No? All right, I'm going to keep going here. So here's the more interesting part from all this technical drawing details that I do, and just showing how I kind of bring them to life. So on this end, you kind of see a little bit of a drawing. I don't have the dimensions shown, so as it gets a little bit too detailed, but basically this would be an elevation I would show to represent this back wall here. And I would have a bunch of dimensions, and then this shows that project coming to life basically, as well as this one. You can see we've got the top tile and the details architecturally, the mirror, the vanity, all these custom options. And whether you guys are not interested in interior design, just kind of shows you how close, you know, the conceptual drawings and or technical drawings are to the real life image. So that's the part that I was talking about that's super exciting. And just remembering while you're doing all this that, you know, hopefully you'll be able to see the end result and or even spend time in that result, since there's design in a whole bunch of different aspects and engineering. All right. So this is going a little bit more detailed, but for a lot of you, depending on the programs or careers you want to go into, a lot of these technical drawings are so great, and we've come so far from when we used to do just hand drafting, because we can be so precise and accurate with what we're doing. So on the left, you can just see a little bit more of a simplified elevation that I would maybe show a client to kind of make it more realistic for her. But then on the right side, I have all the notes and dimensions broken down, which would be for the installer and or maybe the custom cabinet maker. And that's what really brings everything to life. So if I were to show the client this on the right-hand side, they would probably think I'm crazy and not really understand what I'm trying to show them, right? Because it all depends on what industry you're in. And typically I'll start here with a client, And then once we know if they like this, I'll be able to go over some of the dimensions with them and maybe see if we want to tweak some things depending on their preference or their height, and where they want things located. So that's a whole nother thing, is like a user experience in relation to design itself. All right. So here, you can also use these programs to create custom furniture or custom pieces. Again, remember, this isn't for robotics or simulation, but if it was, then SolidWorks would be a better option for you if it was like a movable part. Since this one is stationary, I did this in AutoCAD. It a little bit just shows you how you can customize furniture and break down a lot of the details, even with the background of the patterns and pieces. Within these programs, you know, if you need a radius or any type of special dimensioning, it's great for that. And you can see how detail oriented that these can get. So the sky is basically the limit for a lot of these. And if you can imagine it, most of the time it can be done now that we have these programs, which is super cool. This just kind of shows into detail when you're breaking down the drawings. This helps me a lot. I will, within the blocks, keep them different colors. So I know when I'm working in it that maybe all the appliances or electrical components are one color, and maybe like windows and doors are another color. And that also can help maybe the architecture or builder on the project to have contrast and see what's going where and not confuse it with custom built-in pieces rather than stationary pieces. So this up top here is just more of the technical drawing side, and then below you can see the actual elevations that you can do by just adding color, images, and doing like a rendering, which makes it a lot more realistic, again, for the client or your end user if you're, you know, within a career already, as far as presentation goes. Okay. And here, this probably goes a little bit out of the realm, but just to show you guys, even as simple and or as intricate, I had a client that wanted a custom valance window treatment. So maybe this would be something more in depth in the engineering side, but at least you can see something more conceptual to completion. And it's really not far from one another when you show someone and say, I want this made, make it for me, and, you know, break down the dimensions and kind of see again that this is, you know, the end result, and being able to use these programs for a lot of different aspects. So I mainly do more interior and interior architecture. The interior architecture falls more in like the cabinet styles and custom woodworking. But on occasion, I do get clients who want to do some more of the exterior and architectural elements. So this is an example of exterior of a home, and they were like, we want to update it, change it maybe with stone or siding or paint or whatnot without having to reconstruct or rebuild. So the bottom was something I also did as a technical drawing, and I used hatching to bring into the file format. They wanted to take down some of the landscaping so they could have a clearing of the home, and maybe just show you guys a little bit of the difference of how you can use this program, even to show some of the different architectural elements, the front doorway, just kind of neat. And I mean, whether you use this for a career, even I've been asked a lot of times by friends and family for personal use, definitely comes in handy a lot. And this is a little bit more you can play around with and have fun in what you're doing. So for those of you with engineering, for example, this is an electrical plan for a floor plan. You know, I've got the symbols on the right-hand side here, but this can kind of show you how some of these plans can get a little bit more detailed, and this is just a small area, but how the electrical plan is connected in different areas, and showing you like with switches, if you have a three-way switch, or even where lighting or sockets are within the space. Maybe internet or cable, which all of these are so important, because whether if you're architecture, engineer, design, at the end of the day, we all are really working together. So if I know that I want to have a lighting fixture at a particular, you know, location somewhere, maybe right over a table that's supposed to be particular dimensions in a dining room, then I know with doing these plans and making sure that electrical engineers or architecture builders can read them and all work together, then we can eliminate a lot of issues that can happen on the job site, where you go in and it's like, why do we have an outlet where you want to have a cabinet? And, you know, that's just a small example. So whereas before with hand drafting, there was a lot more margin for error. And with a lot of these technical programs, now you have precision, accuracy, and it's super neat because as you can see how detail oriented this is, again, that margin for error is really almost eliminated. All right. So, you know, technology is our future in a sense, and that's kind of what I believe. Going through school and learning all these different programs, it's been so neat because when I started school, it was really much more hand drafting. And then these programs kind of came out, and, you know, I had teachers who wanted us to learn some of the sketching and hand drafting first, just so you could understand the fundamentals and the details before being able to use these programs. I think it really depends on the programs and careers you're going into, but you know, I think we're just super grateful that in our generation we have this like endlessly growing and improving programs available to us that now can provide all that accuracy, where maybe something was just an idea that we thought we could do a long time ago. Now with these programs and simulations or drawings, we can actually bring them to life and, you know, exceed expectations and what we thought was capable within all these different careers. So I just think it's really neat that I get to experience using these technical drawing programs. There's a lot more out there. So I always say keep an open mind, maybe try a job shadow or internship, or download some of these free programs when you can kind of test them out for yourself. And again, that can go from advanced engineering, design, architecture, and then with some of the other programs, you know, you can go into automotives, robotics, a bunch of different ones like I talked about. So moving forward, do you guys have any questions for me that I can answer?
Omar has a question.
Okay.
How long did it take for you to get used to the engineering software, or to get to grips with it anyways?
Oh, sorry, one more time?
How long did it take you to get used to the engineering software that you use all the time?
So when I was in school, you know, when I was in high school, I wasn't shown any of these programs. It really wasn't until I went on to college that they were given to me and presented to me to start using. I would say, you know, we were learning AutoCAD and some of these other programs probably 2 out of the 4-year program. And that's, you know, 4 hours of class learning these, but they are so neat and detail oriented in what you can do with them, especially if it's a serious career you want to go into. I would say just to learn the fundamentals, basics, to even be able to kind of play around and actually do a real life formation or project with it, probably I would say 6 months. And that's just learning, I would say, majority of it. Maybe 3 months can teach you some of the basics. I don't know how well you'd be able to complete a full project with something like that, just because with these technical programs, even in classes, you know, the more you use them and get used to them, the easier that they become, and the more that, you know, you're even learning tips and tricks on your own to have shortcuts made and make your life easier.
Thank you, Karina, and
Thank you,
Amanda, on the line. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful day.